What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess.
In my undergraduate days, I was the lead singer of a rock band. We were not very talented. And thankfully, this was in the pre-Facebook era. So pictures are not floating around on the internet. Um, but yeah, I was the front man of a cover band.
With the long hair and the torn jeans and the whole package.
Yeah. Not very proud. Well, I mean, it was undergrad. What are you gonna do? But yeah.
What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's that I sort of grew up in a Hollywood family, which is like not typical if you're in CS. My mom would do voiceover and playing guitar in movies where there had to be like a woman singing and playing guitar. My aunt makes, she does metal work for props and costumes. She's like the top person in the Hollywood, LA area who does that. So she like did Michael Jackson's thing. She did like Rocky Balboa's belt, you know, like she did all of these like, she's like very high up there.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah. So like, and my grandma was a dancer. My grandfather was in like Singing in the Rain, a ton of movies. He was also abroad. So I just grew up being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be like an actress, singer, or something. And then I like went to one audition, and I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do this at all. And then I just got really lost into computers. But that means like I'm very different than the rest of my family and have a background that's kind of, I think, atypical for people who work in CS.
Yeah. What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
I'm not very secretive. There aren't too many things that are surprising about me to me, or I guess to people who know me not just through professional circles. But I guess for people who just know me professionally, I guess they might not know, for example, that I have a motorcycle and that I've had it now for 13 years, and I love it. When I got it, you know, I think some people expected that this will pass. This is just a fad. But in fact, I really love it. I ride it regularly. I often ride it to work or to the gym when the weather is good. In fact, I've had the same motorcycle for these 13 years because at this point, just the sentimental value of having the same motorcycle that I've been through so many interesting circumstances with, just accumulating all these diverse experiences with the same motorcycle makes this old motorcycle more valuable to me than a new motorcycle that would, you know, cost 10 times as much. So I absolutely love it.
What is something surprising about you? That something that the rest of us might not guess?
Okay, so I mean, I guess there are several things that I think that I think that the fact that I'm a very shy person, I think that that's something that a lot of people guess correctly. So I don't think that's something unknown. But sometimes because if you only see me giving a talk, it might feel like I'm making jokes and everything, and it feels like I'm not shy, but that's not the truth at all. I have to go through an exercise before I give a talk. The exercise should be breathe a lot so that you oxygenate yourself and you're kind of drunk with oxygen. But the other thing is, I have a terrible memory. Terrible memory. I don't remember anything. And it's not something that is due to the age. This is something that comes, I remember when I was a kid, and I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, and the teacher wrote on the blackboard, okay, you should memorize this paragraph, and she wrote a paragraph. And I still remember how scared I got. I said, there is no way I'm going to ever remember this paragraph. Of course I don't. I didn't learn anything. But I have this good memory for these events that were kind of traumatic. It took me a long time to learn the alphabet. It's just, it's not new.
What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
The thing, I think lots of people at Fair know me very well. So I don't think, I think they've heard of all the quirks, But I don't know if there's so much surprising. Like, I don't think so.
Yeah. What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
Yeah, well, I think right now I'm a pretty extroverted person who, argues a lot and in various scientific discussions. I'm not shy of expressing my opinions, but when I was in high school or early years of college, I was totally shy, kind of person who didn't really have many friends or, would. Yeah.
What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
Well, so people who know me relatively close to me will not be surprised by this, but like whenever I say I have 4 kids, people are usually surprised. So that is like each time I get like, whoa, 4 kids. And then I say I have 4 girls, and then, oh, wow, 4 girls. That is pretty typical.
Yeah. I know I reacted that way when you told me, so I can relate. What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
Something surprising. I'm gonna I'll reveal one of my big secrets. For 20 years, up to maybe very recently, once or twice a week, I took ballet classes. Sometimes middle of the day, since I've been in Montreal, and I would just block it off in my calendar with like just the name of my ballet instructor. I started as an adult. I started when I was 20, and I'm honestly not very good at it at all. But doing it for 20 years, you learn something.
20 years is a long time. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And that's one thing that once I joined Facebook was harder to already 2 jobs, like fitting half a day was harder. So I didn't go as often, but I would still go every couple of months, just drop in on a Wednesday morning. And those 2 hours were just very, very intense moment of just kind of happiness just for me. There's a lot of pleasure to doing something that you're not good at, but you derive so much joy from. And for nobody else, just kind of my own personal joy. And unfortunately, due to the pandemic, my teacher of almost 15 years has decided to retire.
Oh, wow.
And so when we go back, I don't know if I'll ever go back to doing ballet.
Wow.
But I went maybe 3 weeks before it closed down, and so I don't know if I'll ever do it again.
Wow. Wow.
I've never revealed this one in an interview before.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. What is something surprising about you that the rest of us might not guess?
Well, this is maybe an odd thing, but hanging on my wall here, I have a bass clarinet.
Oh wow!
And there was a time. It's been many years now when I seriously considered a career in music, and I was very fortunate to have a teacher who talked to me very frankly about it didn't matter how good I was. There were a lot of things working against success in that realm, and because I had other options, I should probably keep them open. And I continue to be grateful to that teacher for that advice. He might have been telling me subtly that I wasn't going to be successful because I didn't have the talent, which is fine. I certainly don't have the ability. I'm not a professional quality musician. But it is something I do almost every day. It's something that's formed a big part of my hobbies and social life. It's been a big recurring thing in my life, listening to and playing music. And it's still a major hobby. It's been a huge part of staying sane during the lockdown. So I don't know. I guess that I'm an amateur musician. That's the maybe the surprise.
Yeah. Well, what is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
Well, I play the banjo. I was a good skier. I'm still okay, but I was a good skier. Yeah.
What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
I don't know. I don't think there is anything like, I mean, it depends on who we are talking about, but people who have interacted with me a bit closely, I mean, who know me as a person, not just as on paper, right? I think I would expect them to, I don't think there's anything surprising.
Yeah. What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
I'm a biker, although I haven't rode a motorbike in a while, but it's on my license. I rode in California all the time. In Georgia, they weren't as friendly to bikers on the road, and so I actually sold my Rebel 250, which was sad, but it was safe.
Yeah. What is something surprising about you that the rest of us might not guess?
About me? I don't really know if it would be surprising. I mean, I don't feel, I mean, I love dancing. It's my favorite thing to do. I don't really know if that would be surprising though for people, because I kind of feel like I talk about it all the time. I'm not an angry person. So maybe that's, I think that people have started to characterize me as like a fight the power kind of person, but I don't like fighting with anybody about anything, and I kind of just I sort of just want to get by. So that's always I don't plan these things out. I don't want to fight with Jan LeCun on Twitter, right? I don't want to, this is not the kind of thing I like to do at all. And it's extremely stressful when it happens. It's really not fun at all. So maybe that's, and I'm not very serious usually, so maybe that's it.
Yeah. What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
That's really hard to know. What would be surprising for somebody else? I think so that's kind of like the three adjective thing. It requires me to think about what other people think about me. Yeah, sorry, I really don't know.
Yeah. What is something surprising about you that the rest of us might not guess?
I think it really depends on the context, right? Like, if they see me as a woman, especially dressed up, then, people are making assumptions. They may not think I'm a scientist or a professor. So we all have our like implicit biases in terms of how we picture somebody doing something to look like and behave like. So I always end up in these situations where people are surprised if they don't know me, right? Like what I do. And so I would say that's at one level, that's a kind of surprise. And I honestly wish it weren't the case. If there were only more women, more people of color, more Black women, I think we would have a very different kind of expectation of what a scientist looks like, what a professor looks like, what a computer scientist, an engineer looks like.
Yeah.
So that's something I constantly try to change people's minds. And so that's why, I dress the way I like, right? I'm not thinking how I may be perceived because there is so much of, I think, thought process that goes into when other women try to dress up. They're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't wear a dress or I shouldn't wear lipstick. I mean, either way is like really should be based on your personal choice, right? Like rather than worrying what is the perception created by that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I try to challenge those ideas, and I posted a video of me belly dancing, although I don't like the term Middle Eastern dancing. That's early in the pandemic, mostly because I know almost every one of us, we were in not a great state because we were grappling with the uncertainty and how to be indoors and isolated, but still have a good emotional and mental state. And so for me, doing that helped a lot. So I posted the video, and that's also something very shocking for many people, that how can a professor, post a video of belly dancing, right? And I'm like, why not? I mean, why should they be exclusive? We should all be free to pursue our hobbies. We should all be free to express ourselves in the way that we most are comfortable with, and we think this is how we are internally. So why have that like conflict between the external and internal selves?
Yeah.
So if you were to pick one, maybe the fact that I belly dance would be a surprise.
Yeah. What is something surprising about you? Something that I might not guess or others like me might not guess?
That's a good question, and it would require me to have a good model of you, which I don't. But surprising, I mean, maybe people don't know that I've been working from home for the last 12 years. Mostly I've been working from home, and they tend to see me as being connected to an institution and various other places. And, they just expect that I've been there, but generally I'm there on a trip rather than being there long time. So I think that's one possibly surprising aspect people may not.
Yeah. What is something surprising about you that you think the rest of us might not guess?
Well, I mentioned going to 11 schools in 12 years. I lived in rural northwestern Uganda when I was 5 for a year. And I lived in Somalia for 6 months when I was 13. So those are, people probably would not guess that. My first paying job was playing in a Renaissance string quartet.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were a bunch of middle school kids and the sort of orchestra teacher, and we formed a little quartet, some of us, and we would we would play at weddings for people who were trying to do weddings on the cheap. We were not very good, but we were young and cute, so it sort of worked.
Yeah. What is something surprising about you? Something that the rest of us might not guess?
Rest of us might not get. Let's see. Interesting. Oh, I was good at sports earlier. I ran 3 marathons when I was when I was a PhD student at Illinois, and yeah. So I was trying to like, because I like the like, you know, the UIC has this marathon every April. So I was trying to like fly to UIC and attend that marathon again, and like visiting UIC to give a talk or something like that. But that was canceled because the COVID. But so
I see.
too bad. Yeah, but nowadays that's kind of my good old days. But nowadays I'm kind of have this, because of COVID. I also get a lot of weight, a lot of pounds, and now it's really bad. So I hope to. And I heard that the vaccine doesn't work well for kind of people with obesity. So I really need to like cut down my weights in the following months.
Yeah.